Hey, 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 Lily here, and welcome back to Truth is Stranger, where the real world is just seriously messed up sometimes.
Yup, and not always in a cute, fuzzy way like last week's Spy Cat. Hello, guys. Connor here, and welcome back.
Right? Poor acoustic kitty launched into Cold War espionage and taken out by a car. That episode was wild. But yeah, today we're shifting gears a bit.
This one's darker, a little creepier. So consider this your vibe shift warning. If you're more into the fun, fluffy weirdness, this one might rattle you a bit. But if you're the type who loves a slow burn medical mystery that sounds like a horror movie, buckle up.
And hey, we want your input. Should we keep it spooky and sinister, or do you want more quirky, chaotic chaos like last week? Maybe a mix of both. Let us know.
All right, deep breath. Let's talk about the toxic woman, Gloria Ramirez.
February 19th, 1994. Riverside, California. Gloria Ramirez, a 31-year-old woman, is brought into the emergency room. She's barely conscious. Her heart's racing, her blood pressure's plummeting.
She had cervical cancer, stage 4, so the staff knew this wasn't a routine case. But what they didn't know was that this night would go down as one of the weirdest ER incidents in history.
The ER team gets to work. A nurse named Susan Kane starts prepping an IV line, drawing blood, all the normal stuff. But then she notices something off. But what they didn't know was that this night would go down as one of the weirdest ER incidents in history.
Right. First, there's a strong, weird smell coming from Gloria's blood, like ammonia. And not just a hint, like knock you out strong.
Then Susan sees something floating in the blood vial. Oily-looking particles, yellowish, manila-colored blobs.
And moments later, boom, Susan collapses, just passes out cold.
They rush her out, but then another staff member, a doctor, starts showing symptoms. Then another nurse.
In total, 6 hospital workers passed out or became seriously ill just from being in the same room as Gloria Ramirez.
They evacuated the ER.
Think about that. A woman comes in needing help, and the staff has to flee the building because she's making them sick.
By the end of the night, Gloria's heart gave out. She died at 8:50 p.m., but nobody could explain what happened in that room.
Except, people try.
The official explanation? Gloria had been using a solvent called DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, as a home remedy for her pain. It's kind of a sketchy industrial cleaner that people sometimes rub on their skin.
Not FDA approved, smells like garlic, feels like a bad idea.
Supposedly, the DMSO in her system reacted with oxygen administered in the ER, transforming into dimethyl sulfate, a highly toxic gas, like chemical weapon level toxic.
One whiff, and you're toast.
But here's the issue. That's all theory. There's no proof that reaction even can happen in the human body.
Plus, the levels of DMSO they found were nowhere near high enough to produce that kind of toxic effect.
And let's not forget, Susan Kane developed serious health issues afterward, like permanent bone damage. Not something you fake, not hysteria.
Which brings us to theory number 2, hospital cover-up.
Yep. Some believe the hospital itself may have had a chemical leak or used faulty equipment. Maybe the staff inhaled something. But instead of admitting fault, they blamed the poor woman who died.
Dark, but not impossible. Hospitals are not always transparent.
Very true. And then theory 3, mass psychogenic illness. Basically, panic is contagious. One person gets dizzy, others follow.
But that doesn't explain the weird blood particles, the smell, the long-term health damage. You don't get avascular necrosis in your knees because someone else fainted.
Exactly. Something chemical had to be in that room.
Now, here's the real twist. Gloria's body was sealed in hazmat bags. Her autopsy was delayed for 6 days, and even then, it was incomplete.
Connor, and listen to this. They claimed there was nothing strange in her system. No dimethyl sulfate, Nothing toxic.
So then why seal her body? Why wait so long? Why bury her in a hermetically sealed casket?
Feels like overkill, right?
Or the sign of something no one wanted to talk about.
There's one more theory I've seen, a really creepy one.
Ugh, God, hit me. Government testing.
Some believe Gloria was exposed, knowingly or unknowingly, to an experimental substance. And when it started leaking out of her body, they swooped in to shut it down.
Oh, cool. A government conspiracy cherry on top of a chemical sundae.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time strange substances were tested on unknowing civilians.
True. And what better place to bury a mistake than in an ER?
You know what's even weirder? There were reports, and these didn't make it into most of the mainstream news, that some of the ER staff said Gloria's skin was kind of oily, like it had this weird sheen.
Yeah, I read that. Like almost slick. Not sweaty, just chemically.
Exactly. And one of the paramedics said her breath had this metallic tinge. Not bad breath, not illness breath, chemical breath.
That's horrifying. Imagine trying to help someone and realizing something about them is just wrong on a physical level.
Like your body starts reacting before your brain even figures out why.
And get this, Lily. One of the doctors reported a strange sensation in his arms, like pins and needles, just from being in the same room, not touching her, not doing a procedure, just being there.
And people say it was mass hysteria. Please, I've had anxiety. It doesn't make your limbs go numb and your blood vessels burst.
Right? Susan Cain, the nurse, she had to be hospitalized for 10 days and later developed necrosis in her knees, as in literal bone tissue died. That's not, oops, I panicked.
And there were multiple symptoms among the staff. One had trouble breathing for weeks, another had liver damage. This wasn't all psychological.
And there's something else. The hospital initially tried to downplay everything. They were like, oh, it's just a fainting episode, even though people were dropping like dominoes.
Then suddenly hazmat suits show up and the coroner's office starts treating Gloria like a biohazard. So which is it? A faint or a chemical threat?
Yeah, the body was sealed in 3 layers, 3 of containment. First, they wrapped her in plastic, then sealed her in an airtight aluminum casket, then placed that inside a concrete-lined vault.
For a woman who supposedly just died of cancer?
If that doesn't scream, we don't want this leaking out, I don't know what does.
Let's talk about the autopsy, because that part also feels off.
Yeah, so the official cause of death? Kidney failure due to cervical cancer. But here's the thing, they didn't actually run full toxicology right away.
Nope. It took 6 days just to start the autopsy. And during that time, her body decomposed significantly, which just makes the results unreliable.
And guess who took control of the investigation? The Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.
Which is where they develop what again?
Oh, you know, nuclear weapons, government lab, super high security, not your average forensics crew.
Right. So why would a nuclear weapons lab investigate a cancer patient's death?
Exactly. It makes no sense. Unless there was more going on than they ever admitted.
There's also this eerie fact. Her family didn't get her body back for nearly 2 months. And by then, it was basically unrecognizable.
They couldn't even hold a proper funeral at first. Just a sealed casket, no viewing, no goodbyes. That's haunting.
And the family still believes something was done to her, that she may have been experimented on or exposed to something without her knowledge.
They filed lawsuits, demanded further investigation. Nothing. Case closed, door shut.
The truth buried with her.
Okay, now tell me if this is too conspiracy theory brain. But what if Gloria wasn't just a random patient?
Ooh. Go on.
What if she was unwittingly part of a trial? Maybe she received a contaminated chemo drug or a new treatment that went sideways.
I mean, she had cancer. She was vulnerable, desperate. Maybe she signed something without knowing the risks.
Exactly. And when things went wrong, the system locked it down. No leaks, no press, just a woman who came in dying and left the staff damaged in her wake.
Like a ghost with a chemical shadow.
Dude!
Sorry. Got dramatic.
No, that was kind of perfect.
You know what I keep thinking about? The phrase the press used. They called her the toxic lady. Just awful, right?
As if she did something wrong. Like, she chose to be toxic.
Exactly. When really, she was the victim in all this.
Yeah, and she never got to tell her side. She came in barely conscious, and the whole world built a narrative around her without ever hearing a word.
And even after all this time, it's like she's just a footnote, a cautionary headline, the toxic lady. But we don't really know who Gloria Ramirez was.
Exactly. She was a real person, a mother. She had kids, a life. And instead of being remembered for that, she's remembered for something she couldn't control.
What really sticks with me is how fast everything was shut down. There were no follow-up studies, no independent investigations. Like, they wanted it to fade.
Yeah, like once the media frenzy settled, the whole thing got shelved. No accountability, no re-examination, just silence.
And it makes you wonder, if this had happened today with TikTok, Reddit, and amateur sleuths all over it, I think we'd have seen a very different outcome.
Oh, for sure. The internet would have dissected every medical record, cross-referenced chemical exposure charts, probably geolocated the oxygen tank that was used that night.
Yep, but back in '94, if the officials said, nope, nothing to see here, that was it. Case closed.
And speaking of that, do you know they never interviewed all the staff?
Wait, really?
Yeah, there were dozens of people in and around the ER that night, and only a select few were formally interviewed by investigators. A lot of staff were told not to speak to press.
That's a red flag if I've ever seen one.
It's like someone wanted to control the narrative, minimize damage, keep it contained.
And then there's the chemical cart theory. I only found this in one archived article, but apparently some insiders thought the ER might have had a cart contaminated with methylene or phosgene gas, stuff used in manufacturing.
Yikes. Both are super toxic and in closed spaces. If something leaked from a cleaning compound or an old tank,
And Gloria's warm body, low oxygen levels, and the heat of the ER all combined, it could have triggered some kind of reaction.
but again, we don't know. Because nobody tested the equipment, the room, the ventilation. They just wiped it down and carried on.
Okay, let me throw one more creepy thing at you.
Always. You know me, Lily. I'm always up for more creepy.
One of the hazmat responders reportedly said, off the record, that when they opened the ER doors after the evacuation, they felt an electrical buzz in the air, like a low-frequency hum.
Goosebumps. Actual goosebumps.
Now, it could have been the machines, right? Ventilators, power surge? But still, it adds this sci-fi element to the whole thing.
It's like the room itself absorbed something and then exhaled it when no one was watching.
Stop! That's actually creepy as hell.
I know, but that's the vibe of the story. Everything about it feels off. The timeline, the symptoms, the silence afterward.
And Gloria never got justice. Not from the system, not even from the press. Her name just became a cautionary tale for chemical exposure.
Or a punchline in medical training.
Ugh, yeah, that's the worst part. Watch out or you'll end up like the toxic lady. No empathy, just mockery.
Honestly, I think that's why this story matters so much, because it reminds us that unexplained doesn't mean untrue, and weird doesn't mean meaningless.
Exactly. There was meaning here, pain, loss, and a whole lot of unanswered questions that deserved better than a tidy theory and a sealed casket.
You know what I want? I want someone to go back and reinvestigate this with modern tech. AI toxicology modeling, environmental data logs, all of it.
Yes, let's crowdsource it. Come on, internet detectives, do your thing.
Right? If there's ever a cold case that needs an update, it's this one.
And if we had that kind of reinvestigation today, think of what we might find. Residual chemical traces, ambient air data from the hospital's HVAC logs, even cross-matched treatment data with other patients.
Exactly. Like, what if Gloria wasn't the only one? What if there were other cases, but not as dramatic? People getting sick slowly, quietly, never making the news.
Or maybe there were incidents, but they were dismissed. Coincidence. Stress. You know how easy it is to gaslight staff when they say, hey, something feels wrong in here?
Yep, especially in the 90s. I mean, let's be real. Workplace safety, especially in healthcare, was not what it is today.
There's actually an old whistleblower report, I think it was buried in a local newspaper, that said the hospital had complained of strange smells in the ER weeks before Gloria even arrived.
Wait, really? That changes everything.
Right? It suggests that maybe Gloria didn't bring the toxicity. Maybe she just triggered it, like the catalyst in a chemical equation that was already unstable.
Holy shit. Okay, that's a theory I haven't heard before, and now I'm obsessed with it.
Same. And get this. One of the janitors later said that a storage cabinet near the trauma bay was leaking this brownish gunk. It had a chemical odor, but was never tested. Just cleaned up.
That is textbook negligence. And if that's the source and not Gloria,
Then she was blamed for something she didn't cause. She wasn't toxic. She was just the match that lit a fuse that was already smoldering.
God, imagine dying, then having the world call you a walking poison cloud. It's tragic.
And the worst part? It discouraged people from looking deeper. Like, well, she used DMSO, mystery solved, moving on.
Yep, slap on a theory, wrap it in sciencey language, and bury it, literally and figuratively.
That's why it's stuck with us, right? Because the story doesn't feel finished.
Exactly. There's no real ending, just questions wrapped in caution tape.
Also, side note, why hasn't this been turned into a full-on movie or docuseries? It has everything.
Right? Body horror, medical mystery, government shade, and actual human drama. Forget House. This is real-life ER terror.
And the visual of nurses collapsing, oxygen tanks rolling, people dragging unconscious coworkers out of the trauma bay, it's cinematic. But it really happened.
Maybe the story's too uncomfortable, too unexplained. People like answers. And this one doesn't play nice.
Yep, it refuses to tie itself up with a bow, which makes it more real, honestly.
And more terrifying.
You know what's terrifying, too? That Gloria's story was technically solved, on paper anyway, and yet it still doesn't feel like we know anything.
yeah, it's like being handed a puzzle box with all the wrong pieces. You can force it together, but the picture's all wrong.
Exactly. You can throw sciencey words like dimethyl sulfate at it, but it doesn't explain the timing, the staff reactions, the secrecy, the way her body was handled. None of it lines up.
And the fact that this happened in a hospital, a place that's supposed to be safe, makes it hit harder. If they can't protect you, who can?
And Gloria wasn't just failed by the hospital. She was failed by the systems built to investigate, to advocate, to explain. What scares me most is how easy it is to turn the page.
A few weeks later, the story disappears. A new headline rolls in. And Gloria's just another unsolved mystery, buried under paperwork.
I hope her kids remember her not for what happened in that ER, but for who she really was. Because we didn't get that version. We got the sensational one.
Yeah, and maybe doing this, telling her story, is one small way to say we haven't forgotten.
Because her case isn't just a creepy headline. It's a warning about ignoring red flags, about shutting down questions too soon, about letting narratives replace facts.
Exactly. And if there's ever a time to keep asking questions, it's when you're told to stop.
All right, folks, that wraps our deep dive into the chilling mystery of Gloria Ramirez, the toxic woman.
Let us know your thoughts, theories, nightmares, all of it. We want to hear from you.
Next week's episode, a man receives a phone call from someone who died 3 days earlier. And that's just the start.
Creeped out already.
Same. See you there.
Until then, stay curious. Please comment, like, and subscribe.
And remember, the truth is stranger than fiction.
It's goodbye from both of us. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care of you.